Hello, everybody. Ben Rogers here. The Raptors Digest react to the Toronto Raptors 124-120 win against Sacramento Kings. Riker, the Raptors came in expected to get this W. The Kings have been struggling this season, but nonetheless they have a lot of talent. A few guys played well on their roster, but the boys pulled it through, and it got close at the end. But I was never really worried throughout this whole game. Riker.
Absolutely not. Even down the stretch, you didn't have the worrying sense that the Kings could ultimately come back and win this one. The Raptors, they move on to 4-0 at home. They improve. I don't know what the stat was. I don't know, since 2017-18, I believe. Maybe. No, I think since 2017-18, 69-18 at home. Best home record in the entire NBA, which is impressive. And They just ultimately performed tonight, Ben. Hands down, the Raptors, they went in. I think there could have been a better margin, of course.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were maybe a little bit... They didn't keep their foot on the gas, but otherwise, a pretty good game.
Yeah, we brought it up because the Kings were kind of in this one the whole way, outside of the first quarter where we completely stomped them, but the Kings kept it kind of close with a lot of three-point shooting, particularly from Barnes and Buddy Hield, and the Raptors, they always managed, whenever the Kings went on a run, to do the counterpunch, but they never put the foot on the gas completely, and I guess that makes sense when you're taking an opponent in lightly, but they got the closeout, and the first person we got to talk about is Pascal Siakam, because he got some flack after his performance against the Milwaukee Bucks on a few days ago now, Saturday I want to say, and tonight came out with 23 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and only one personal foul, Riker, because he's been fouling out of big games. He said he's going to make an effort to switch up his defense. What did you notice from Pascal Siakam tonight with that really efficient shooting? No threes, but a solid game all around.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give him too much credit on that whole one personal foul thing. Mm-hmm. If you look at who was his defensive matchup for most of the game, there's nobody that's putting the pressure on him to step up defensively, be a shot blocker.
No Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No,
Jason
exactly.
Tatum's on
and the
roster.
matchup is completely different. It's a 2-5 Kings team coming into this matchup. Maybe it was a 1-5 team now, 1 or 2-6.
2-6, yeah.
2-6, exactly. It's like I said, it's a game that you want to make sure that you do well, because then you're really back at the drawing board. If you're not able to perform against a team like the Kings, where one, the pressure's not put on you as a defensive player, and then also there's not a considerable matchup that you're needing to face as the offensive guy. You know, Harrison Barnes is matching up against them for a lot of the game, and then a lot of their bigs aren't very mobile, and it's not a terribly challenging team, but I did like to see that Pascal Siakam played well. I'm more impressed that guys like OG Anunoby stepped up and actually had a pretty good game, because this is where I want to see him work and be a little more confident, be a little more creative.
Yeah, certainly. You brought him up. OG Anunoby, he's been quietly really good for this Toronto Raptors team, and I don't think we've talked about him enough on the podcast, Riker, but tonight 18 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, and his on-ball defense, we've been raving about that ever since he came into the league, but it's been taken to a whole nother level this season, and just the on-ball stuff and the area of defense where he's most improved is the back end, the side where he's blocking shots, being an enforcer, getting those rebounds, because he has that physical size to just be a powerhouse down low, especially when he's boxing out guards and the bigs are kind of fighting with each other. He can sneak in and overpower some of those smaller players to get those boards. Just his all-around game is just coming together. He looks a lot more comfortable out there, Riker. 3 of 4 from the three-point line, 7 of 10 from the field goals. He's just been amazing this season.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one play that I really liked in particular. He went in strong, and I don't know if he bounced off of Dwayne Dedman. Perhaps it was Harrison Barnes. It was somebody who matched up with him size-wise, but went into the chest and then did a Euro step away from the contact and finished with a kind of an acrobatic finish. It wasn't necessarily a given, but I thought that, one, the aggressiveness on that drive is what you want to see OG doing more often, is attacking the basket, not being tentative. But then 2, showing finesse and showing the self or the body control to be able to turn away from the contact, not make it a charge, and then finish with finesse, with a nice finger roll off the top to get that layup. To me, that embodies what I would want to see OG be able to develop more moving forward in this season. Confidence, aggressiveness, but then just the IQ to be able to adjust his shot midway through.
Yeah, certainly. His finishing around the rim has significantly improved this season. Everyone knows OG can throw down some massive dunks, but his touch around the rim has gotten a lot better, and that's why he's probably more confident driving and all that sort of stuff this year. But the guy that we definitely can't ignore in this game, Kyle Lowry, 24 points, 6 assists, 5 of 7 from the three-point line. Riker, he's looking like 2016 Kyle Lowry out there again. He's been playing like this the whole season. He's hitting these dribble pull-up threes. One of them was from 30 feet behind the three-point line, it felt like. Well, what are your thoughts on how he's just been taking over this Toronto Raptors team this season now that Kawhi's gone as the number one option?
Well, you're making me say it, Ben. I mentioned to you before the podcast, NBA has a poll out there. They're saying that objectively, 33-year-old Kyle Lowry is better than 33-year-old Kobe Bryant. And the stats, they show, they support that. 59% from the field compared to 40%. Both equaling 24 points per game, but Kyle Lowry doing it more efficiently, more assists, more blocks, less turnovers, 2 less turnovers, better free throw percentage, 30% better three-point percentage. And this is some pretty good company to be in for an aging Kyle Lowry, to be compared to Kobe Bryant. But he's backing it up. He's played really well. He played a fantastic game against the Bucks and really kept them in when no one else stepped up, Ben. You've always been a big advocate for Kyle Lowry. What do you think? Is it because he's finally the number one guy, perhaps? Or what's going on this season?
Well, the thing about Kyle Lowry is this is the stuff he was doing for his first 4 seasons with the Toronto Raptors. The season after we traded Rudy Gay and he really took the reins of this roster. He was driving the lane, he was taking those mids, and then his jumper from the three-point line looked so much more confident and fluid because he'd be getting easier shots to start the game. And we've been talking about specifically in the regular season because he usually steps up his game in the playoffs despite the narrative that he's a playoff choker. But I think that has died off now that he's an NBA champion and what he did in the NBA Finals and all that. But Kyle Lowry, when he's driving in, because last season we talked about it a lot, how he was just a 3-point specialist. We'd see him with games where he'd take 14 shots and 12 of them were from behind the 3-point line, and he'd never go inside. And yes, that's good for maintaining longevity, and that's one thing I'm a bit worried about, because he played 40 minutes and he's all over the floor on defense, and when he's doing it on offense, there is a high risk for injury. But if you want the most productivity out of Kyle, you want him driving the lane. You want him taking those kind of floaters, those mid-range spin shots that he gets, and then he looks more confident on those dribble pull-up threes and everything when he's got the ball in his hands, touching, getting the easier shots going early on. And I think that's why we've seen Kyle Lowry's scoring go up, because he's taking more of those shots, and the ball's in his hands more often. He's going to be facilitating more. He has had a higher turnover rate this season, which is to be expected from when DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi Leonard would predominantly be the main ball handlers, and Siakam might be the number one option on this team, isn't dribbling the ball as much as one of those guys. So I think Kyle Lowry's just, his knack for getting in the lane now this season has really upped his ability. And I think it's something that's sustainable, assuming he stays healthy. And that's one thing Nick Nurse is going to have to look at. And we could probably make a whole podcast on it, the load management side of Kyle Lowry, because being 33 years old and being an injury-prone guy in the past, to play at that level on a night-in, night-out basis, he's certainly capable of it, assuming he's healthy. But what do you want to see? Would you see him dial it back, or
Well, you
go
bring
all
up
out?
minutes per game. You bring up minutes played, and every single game played so far this season, tonight, no exception, plus 34 minutes per game. He's averaging 38, highest in the NBA by 3 or 4 minutes. And when you say most used player in the NBA, you're probably thinking James Harden or Russell Westbrook or those guys usually are the top of the list, but Kyle Lowry, he's a bit of an unexpected name. I guess the Raptors, to an extent, have had to rely on him, but I certainly agree with every point that you touched on. You don't want to injure him, right? On the flip side, we're paying this guy $33 million a year. He's been on the franchise for so long. I don't mind seeing him be the guy, to see him really play to his fullest potential. It's good because you've always been high on him, and I've always had my ups and downs because of his inconsistencies throughout the regular season. But no, it's nice to see him play well. But Ben, we don't want to get too long. Let's swing it into the segments.
Certainly. Tonight, the spicy pea lay of the day. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, everyone listening, don't have the graphic up yet. I've been in midterm season, but I had my last one just before this podcast, or just before this game. Got to watch most of this game. So the video animation should be coming now for the next one, hopefully. But Ryker, I brought my spicy pea lay of the day up earlier. Kyle Lowry going up from had to be at least 5 feet behind the three-point line, shot one of those transition threes. There was a couple Serge Ibaka dunks that could have been in there. What do you have in mind, Riker?
No, that's fair with me, Ben. I agree with that.
Well, not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the OG's not necessarily play of the day. It's a few plays that happen in this one. Terrence Davis. He came in and had a solid game. His box score implies that he was kind of trash, but I think he played some solid aggressive defense. He was had a nice assist on offense. He plays within the team offense. But tonight, in 7 minutes, had 5 personal fouls, almost got the 6. He got dinged for the 6, but it ended up going to Norman Powell. That would have been the quickest foul out, I think, in Raptors history. I'm not sure if Jonas Valanciunas beat it, or it was certainly up there. But the fact that he got 5 fouls in 7 minutes, Riker, that was certainly an OG's.
No, yeah, I would agree with that. And this is a game that you want to see these players get more run, right? The Matt Thomases of the team and the Terrence Davises of the team. So it's too bad that, hopefully this doesn't affect his ability to or Nick Nurse's opinion to put him in future games, right? I don't think that's the case because, like you said, it seemed like he was doing the right things out there, just got caught with a few fouls.
Yeah, certainly, and especially with Patrick McCaw out, and we can make a whole video on that for an extended period of time. We're going to probably see Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas, one of them, integrate themselves into the rotation, but that'll be an interesting watch. Norman Powell, he's really struggled. He got the DeMar Carroll Gold Star last game, I believe, but, we got to give it out again tonight. I'm not giving it to Norman Powell, Riker. I have a little rant I want to go on. Fred VanVleet, okay? Fred VanVleet's getting my DeMar Carroll Gold Star Award tonight, and it's not necessarily because of the points. He's been putting up solid points this season. He's been getting decent assists. I'm not here to trash on Fred VanVleet, the player. I think he's our starting two guard, and he deserves to be the starting two guard. And his three-point shooting has honestly been very solid this season. But the one issue that I was really excited about watching the preseason, particularly that first game, was Fred VanVleet's ability to finish. It looked like he had a completely new layup package this year. He was shooting up, high lofting shots off the top of the backboard. He was finishing lane because he's capable of getting in there, and that's where Fred VanVleet can take his game to the next level. A lot of people say he can't improve, but I think if he can finish his, I was saying it last year, if he could finish around the rim a little bit better, be more nifty with his takes, he could take his game to a whole nother level. And I was hoping that was going to happen. I was encouraged by what I saw, but recently, after the first game, he's been absolutely abysmal from inside the paint. Honestly, inside the three-point line, his efficiency has been in the 20s. I believe he's shooting around 28, before this game, about 28% from inside the three-point line, which is not a good look, especially, where he's getting the lane and he's just hucking up these shots over these bigs, getting blocked. And tonight we saw him get blocked a few times. Riker, Fred VanVleet was potentially going to be our second option. We were making conversation that he could possibly be the 1B option to Pascal Siakam this year. Obviously, Kyle Lowry has been that. But the fact that he can't finish around the rim right now, and he's going in there, he's not even doing the Fred VanVleet things of the past, where you go in and if he's not going to get a good shot, he'll kick it out and he'll make a decent decision with it. He's just hucking it up over these tall defenders, and being an undersized point guard, it's really hurting his efficiency, it's hurting this team, and he's doing so many great things otherwise in terms of shooting, passing, and all that stuff. It really hurts me to see his finishing. The DeMar Carroll Gold Star is going to Fred VanVleet's finishing for me, Riker.
To sound off, well, you just sounded off, to respond with a few points. It doesn't hurt the team, okay? Having poor efficiency from inside the box for a smaller guard, right, or a smaller forward, doesn't hurt the team because it's making the defense guard you, right? Mm-hmm. Having poor efficiency from outside the three-point line, that's detrimental to a team because basically what it's saying is we can sag off of you and provide more help to the people that are going to be driving in, right? It's not bad to have a wing that is confident to shoot the three, such as Fred VanVleet, also be aggressive in driving because it still makes the defense guess, is he going to go in or not? I still need to guard him two ways, right?
Yep.
His confidence will come, his shot selection, I do agree that it's not amazing right now. But
that's what I'm arguing.
At the same time, though, if Pascal Siakam is getting 20 points per game, Kyle Lowry is getting 20 points per game, Serge Ibaka is actually confidently been getting 20 points per game, Marc Gasol, you can etch him in for about 10, and we've seen the emergence of OG Anunoby. I mean, how many points are the Raptors possibly going to get in any given game, right? It's going to average out around 100 or 120 per game. There's not that many points left. So Fred VanVleet on a given night, I'd say if he does well, Kyle Lowry won't do well. And we've already spoken about this. It's not often that both of them are going to do good at the same time. With that being said, I do agree that shot selection, again, is not A1 right now. But at the same time, if we just look into this most recent game, De'Aaron Fox, more athletic, taller, longer than Fred VanVleet, has a lot of things going for him, also has the reins more than Fred VanVleet does because they rely on De'Aaron Fox more. He had even worse shot selection tonight, I would argue, in terms of really being roughed up, getting into the lanes, then throwing turnovers, just sloppy selection of shots. So it's just an issue for point guards in general. I think once Fred VanVleet finds his footing on this team, not to say that he doesn't know it already, then the shots might start falling. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's fair, and I'm arguing because I want him to be aggressive, and Fred's super effective getting in the lane, and then last season we saw him kick it out when he was in there and didn't force up a lot of shots, particularly when he'd be on his high streaks, because yes, he was pretty up and down last season, but if he's going to go in there, he's got to be, use his body a bit more, go straight to the rim, or he's just got to kick it out. The shot selection underneath the rim has to be better from Fred VanVleet, but let us know what you guys think. What are you guys looking at, Fred? What are you guys looking at the rest of this roster? Because the Toronto Raptors are pretty intriguing. Obviously, they got the win against the Kings tonight, but we have some big games coming up, so stay tuned to the Raptors Digest, lots of Raptors content coming. You're the best for making this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Riker, any last words?
That's it for me, Ben. Cheers.